You are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times! What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. If you have not done so already, please shoot this video a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. As well as if you're a new viewer to this channel, please shoot that subscribe button as well as that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. So 3 days ago, Deadline released an article that showcases that I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel is in the works. Spearheaded by Caitlin Robinson, it is also being talked about that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt are in talks to reprise their roles as Julie James and Ray Brunson respectively. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the article and let's see what direction this sequel is going to be heading in. And the article goes on to read, exclusive. Following the successful relaunch of Scream, Sony Pictures is looking to blow new life into its own slasher franchise, as sources tell Deadline that Jennifer Caitlin Robinson has been tapped to direct a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. in talks to reprise their roles. Insiders say the project is in early development and that Neil H. Morris is in talks to return as producer, with Leah McKendrick on board to write the script. Sony had no comment on the project. The original pick follows four young friends bound by a tragic accident who are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town. The original was a hit and not only led to a sequel, but also helped launch the careers of Hewitt, Prince, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Ryan Phillippe. Plot details for this latest installment are unknown. While McKendrick is penning the pick, the idea for the new film came from Robinson and McKendrick, who blew away studio execs when they pitched this idea for a sequel last fall, especially given the recent success of the Scream franchise. That film was recently relaunched with original cast members returning, and the idea of bringing back original cast members to draw on old school fans while also adding fresh faces to relaunch the series was too good for the studio to pass up. Another big factor was the recent success of Robinson's Netflix pick, Do Revenge, which was lauded for its throwbacks to late 90s picks like Cruel Intentions and was something execs knew Robinson could tap into when developing the new story. Sony also saw it important to not reboot the franchise, but do a sort of passing of the torch type sequel, where original cast members are brought back as a new generation cast members are added to the ensemble, similar to films like Scream or Creed. Once the idea was pitched by Robinson and McKendrick, the next step was getting Hewitt and Prince back on board, which the two were game for after hearing the pitch. For Robinson, Do Revenge was her most recent directing outing and earned her high marks for a first-time filmmaker. Prior to that, she was a writer on Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder and was a consulting producer on Hawkeye. Outside the Marvel Universe, Robinson also penned Unpregnant for HBO Max, and her directing debut for Netflix was Someone Great. She is rep by CAA and Gotham Group. McKendrick wrote, produced, and co-starred in the vigilante thriller MFA alongside Francesca Eastwood, which premiered at SXSW. Leah's rom-com feature Voicemails for Isabel was preempted by Sony and landed her on the blacklist in 2019. She is rep by UTA, Kaplan Perone, and Vanderklut Law. Next up for her, Scrambled, which stars McKendrick as Nellie Robinson, a broke, single 34-year-old, fresh off of a breakup who faces down an existential crisis when she decides to freeze her eggs. McKendrick wrote the script following her own egg retrieval experience last year. The film will make its world premiere at this year's SXSW Festival. Okay everyone, so definitely going to have to check out Jennifer Caitlin Robinson's work as well as Leah McCormick's work just so we can have some type of perspective on maybe what to expect in this new sequel that they're creating for I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I think what's also going to be fascinating, obviously, before we get into talking about Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. reprising their roles, is will this be a sequel to the events of After I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, or will this be a direct sequel from the original I Know What You Did Last Summer? I think this is something that we have to think about because, you know, this kind of in so many ways seems to be the direction they're kind of heading with these movies, doing a direct follow-up to the original or something to the original anyway. And I think that they may be going in a direction that they might skip out that I Still Know What You Did Last Summer exists. They might be doing a direct sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer and just completely act as if I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, that obviously starred Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., as well as R&B artist Brandy. They might completely exit that movie out. However, they might not. They might be picking up after the events of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. It's going to be interesting to see where this new timeline takes us. Another thing that's going to be interesting is to see who are these new characters that is going to be blended in with Ray Brunson and Julie James. Could it be their kids? If they're still together after all these years, could they have had kids? Could it be their kids and their friends? Something to keep in mind for sure. Now, obviously, let's get into these characters, Julie James and Ray Brunson, Jennifer Love Hewitt's character and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character. Now, in the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, I was a little on Julie James. I didn't like the way that Jennifer Love Hewitt played that character in the original. I'll be completely honest. However, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, obviously Jennifer was a little bit more mature, and I feel like she really grew into that character and she won me over as her being a final girl, as well as Freddie Prinze Jr. In the original, we remember him, he was kind of shy, he was shallow, really kind of was a punk to a degree. You can kind of make that, that case for that character, that he was a punk. But and he was also, we got to keep in mind, a massive red herring in the original, as a lot of people, if you watched that movie for the first time, you most likely thought that Ray was the one who was the fisherman. Obviously, that turned out not to be the case. And then obviously, as we all know, he lived until I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and he survived and all that good stuff. They both survived, and it seems like they somewhat went on to live a happy life. But obviously, we don't know if that's, true or not yet, though, because we don't know what direction these characters are going to be in, what phase of their life they're going to be in when this movie happens. For all we know, they could have broken up, maybe got married, maybe not. Anything could have happened with these characters, and it's going to be fascinating to see what direction these new creators are going to go with these characters, as well as what type of characters, of young characters, are you going to put around them. Will there be high school students? Will there be college students? So on and so forth. There are so many different directions, I guess, you can go with this now that you are bringing these legacy characters back, and as well as putting some new characters around them. Now, I also think what's going to be fascinating as well is if they do pick up after the events of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Let's just say they pick up after the events of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and they're not going to do a direct sequel to the original. They're just going to pick up from where we left off. Will we see Brandy's character from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Carla Wilson? Will we see her make a return? Something to keep in mind for sure. Now, I want to bring this up, and I'm going to do a whole video about this, as I've just actually caught wind of it. But apparently, there's, I guess, some talks going around that there might be Ryan Phillippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar's characters possibly returning to the sequel. Now, I don't know how I feel about that, if that is true. I did see something of an article with Ryan Phillippe where he was asked about it, and I thought that was interesting that an interviewer would even ask him about reprising his role. And the only reason why I say that is because we know for a fact that both of those characters were killed in the original film. But nonetheless, that is going to be saved for another video down the line. Now, obviously, another thing to talk about here is, will we see Moose Watson reprise his role as the fisherman in this new sequel? Now, you can make a case that that could happen, especially if they are picking up after the events. Well, you can make a case for either film, obviously, because in I Know What You Did Last Summer, the original, you could obviously make a case that he was going to survive, that ending scene, that wasn't, life-threatening. You know, he just lost his hand and he fell into the ocean. Obviously, he could have drowned, but that didn't happen. But you can also make the case that after I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, that he could still be alive. And the only reason why I say that is because of two reasons. When you really go back and rewatch that ending scene where they supposedly kill him, I think, you know, you could definitely work around that. You could definitely bring him back. We've seen killers take so much more punishment than what he took, you know, in both those films, that you can make a case he can come back. As well as obviously the ending of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer implied that we was going to get another sequel, another follow-up, because obviously we seen, you know, Julie in her room. She sees the, you know, her chair rocking, and you know, the teddy bear that's in it, and then obviously you see Ben Willis underneath her bed. He hooks her foot and drags her underneath the bed. Now you can make the argument that, oh, that was just a dream sequence for Julie, etc. But then again, you can also, just like when you see Ghostface show up at the end credits of a Scream movie, you can make the interpretation that that was a hint that there may be another sequel that was going to feature the Ben Willis character. So again, that is something to keep in mind. Now, also another thing to keep in mind, and do I think they're going to go in that direction with bringing the Ben Willis character back? No. Well, I'll say 50-50. And the reason why I say that is because Moose Watson, the actor who played Ben Willis, he is 74 years old. However, there are many fans who want to see Robert Englund reprise his role as Freddy Krueger, and Robert Englund is 3 or 4 years older than Moose Watson. So if Moose Watson gets asked and he wants to do it, it's not impossible that he might reprise his role as the fisherman, if obviously they will have to explain how he's still alive or whatever and stuff. They didn't even really do that, you know, at the, you know, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. But nonetheless, obviously, if he wanted to come back and they wanted him to come back, he could definitely reprise his role. However, do I think that's the direction they're heading in? No, I do think they're going to focus on a new killer, and I actually think it may not even be a fisherman. For all we know, we could get a hooded killer, a masked killer. We can go in any different direction with this new iteration of I Know What You Did Last Summer. We might not get a fisherman. You know, another thing to keep in mind is, where's the setting going to be? Is it going to be in Southport? Is it going to be somewhere else? So many different directions, so many things that, you know, leading into this film we're going to have, you know, to talk about, and hopefully, you know, they don't make us wait too long. Hopefully some more details come out about it, because I'm not going to lie, I'm excited. You know, this is the slasher genre. Ever since Halloween 2018, you can honestly say the slasher genre is back, and I am all here for it. I'm here for Freddie Prinze Jr. reprising his role as Ray Brunson in I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm all in for Jennifer Love Hewitt to reprise her role as Julie James, and I'm really fascinated to see what these new creators have in store with these legacy characters and what new characters they're going to piece around them to make it a fascinating and intriguing story. Hopefully we all can enjoy. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know you guys' thoughts on this new I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel that we are going to be getting. Let me know what you guys think about Freddie Prinze Jr. as well as Jennifer Love Hewitt reprising the roles in the film, as well as let me know who you guys would like to see in this film with them in terms of young stars being placed around them, as well as would you like them to find a way to somehow bring Ryan Phillippe's character as well as Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, Barry and Helen, back into the fold some way, somehow, even after we've seen them killed off in the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. Hit the comment section. You know I love to always talk and engage with you all about these movies. Once again, this is I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.